Hello there, and welcome back. If you're new here, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Kaiti. On this channel, I like to draw goddesses and heroines from all across the globe, and we like to learn about them at the same time. Trying to preserve a lot of these tales. It's just something I really enjoy. Plus, we get to learn about some history, all that cool stuff. So if you're into folklore, speed painting, any of that stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps me a lot. It's a great support, and it'll get you more videos. Hopefully this is entertaining to you. So I kind of went through this on my last video, but I kind of picked these gods fairly randomly. Sometimes I have to stay in one place for a while because there's too many correlating gods and goddesses together, and this is going to be one of those times. So today we are going to go over the Tibetan Buddhist goddess Miyolangsangma, and she is kind of the goddess of abundance and wealth and generosity, but she has 5 sisters. She's a part of this clan called the Tseringma Sisters. So since I only publish every other Wednesday, you can expect 5 episodes. It's gonna be a 5-parter. This is a big one, and this is gonna span about 2.5 months. So we're gonna be learning a lot about Tibetan Buddhism specifically. We're gonna be learning about specific indigenous people, the Sherpa people. We're gonna learn about the Bun religion. There's a lot of stuff going on. So because there's so many elements going on this episode, we're going to go and do an overview of all of the little details that I will eventually dive into later. Plus, we are going to learn about the goddess Miyolangsangma, and then we will go over some of her other sisters throughout the month. So this is a 5-parter. Let's get started. While the Tibetan plateau has been inhabited since prehistoric times, most of Tibet's history went unrecorded until the introduction of Tibetan Buddhism around the 6th century. Tibetan texts refer to the kingdom of Zhangzhung, which is around 500 BCE to 625 CE, as the precursor of later Tibetan kingdoms and potentially the originators of the Bun religion. There are accounts of rulers of the Yarlung dynasty, which is considered a proto-historical dynasty in Tibet before the rise of the historical Tibetan Empire in the 7th century. So proto-history means a period between prehistory and history during which a culture or civilization hasn't developed any writing, but other people who have interacted with them might have writing, and they've noted the existence of the pre-literate groups in their own texts. But it doesn't mean this is entirely accurate. I just want to note that this might have been a thing. Historical accounts begin with the introduction of Buddhism from India in the 6th century and the appearance of a unified Tibetan empire in the 7th century. But there's always somebody that has to ruin a good time. In the 8th and 9th centuries, struggles took place between the ruling house of Tibet, and those members were the ones that sided with Buddhism, and then there were powerful noble families who sided with the Bun. And this is all fairly confusing and a very well-argued point in history that we will go in depth later in one of the other 4 parts of this particular mythos. Once again, there was a Buddhist revival in the 10th to 12th centuries and a development of 3 of the 4 major schools of Tibetan Buddhism. There is so much history here and lots of players. Tibet is the center between India and China. Those are powerhouses in ancient history. Tibet was probably and potentially a place where the Silk Road had roots going through it. Then you have Genghis Khan running around. There's Muslim travelers. There's all kinds of people who run through this area over 2,000 years of a time, and that's just the beginning. So, to move on, prior to the introduction of Buddhism, it is theorized that the main religion in Tibet is the Bon religion, which had many shamanic practices. And the issue here is language. That includes oral and written language. And the Bon religion wasn't an organized religion until later in history. We also have the issue where most of the history of the Bon religion is from Buddhist sources. Not only that, we have a language interference as well for all of the linguistical nerds here. Some people refer to the Bon people in historic texts, which actually might refer to a royal family, not just a bunch of priests and religious people. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and again, we will be dissecting this later. One theory is that many of the local deities of the Bon were assimilated into Tibetan Buddhism. This happened when Padmasambhava, or also known as Guru Rinpoche, and other lamas subjugated the many powerful spirits raised by the Bon shamans to prevent the spread of Buddhism in Tibet. And this is around 8th century CE. So basically, all of these spirits or demons were being raised by the Bon shamans, and then the lamas were trying to convert all of these gods to Buddhism, is my understanding. All right, so now we're going to pivot a bit because the goddess Miyolangsama resides in the Himalayas. She is a guardian of Mount Everest and the surrounding areas, or that's kind of where her home is. This means we also need to talk about the Sherpa people. If you check out this map here, you will notice that the Himalayas run southwestern Tibet. So that brings us into Sherpa culture and the Sherpa lands. The Sherpa were one of the historical peoples of Tibet. According to Sherpa tradition, the tribe migrated to Nepal from the Kham region of eastern Tibet over 1,000 years ago. Can you believe that? When you look at this map here, how far that is all the way from that area all the way to the Himalayas. Historians, though, suggest the Sherpas were nomadic herders who were driven out of their original homeland in eastern Tibet by warlike peoples sometime around the 12th and 15th centuries AD or CE. Sherpa literally means east people. Sharpa, east people. They brought with them the rich Tibetan culture, including their religious traditions and Tibetan Buddhist literature. These religious traditions include the belief that the mountain peaks, foothills, ridges, passes, fields, etc. are all homes of deities. Thus, the Sherpa ceremonies such as the hanging of prayer flags and other rituals of daily life attest to their belief in the presence of supernatural forces that abide there. The majority of Sherpas are Buddhists belonging to the Nyingma tradition, introduced by Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche during the 8th century. According to an ancient Sherpa legend, the initial Tibetan migration to the Himalayan region was due to a search for a Bayul, or a supreme hidden valley. The Sherpas believe in the phenomena of termas, hidden treasures of sacred texts and precious objects concealed by Guru Rinpoche. In particular, the Sherpas believe that the south side of Mount Everest is a Bayul, or are hidden valleys, and these are often encompassing hundreds of square kilometers, which Guru Rinpoche blessed as refuges. Both Sherpas and Tibetans also believe that Mount Everest is the home of the goddess Miyolangsangma. She, this goddess, is one of 5 sisters. They are called the 5 long life sisters, also called the Tseringma Sisters. They belong to the Sman class of world deities, which means, so S-M-A-N. This means Tibetan pre-Buddhist localized divinities, of which there are a lot of types. And again, that means like rivers, mountains, lakes. These sisters reside on the Himalayan peaks along the Tibet-Nepal border, protecting the area from harm while providing spiritual nourishment to the residents who live there. Miyolangsangma, the goddess of inexhaustible giving, is one of those 5 long life sisters. Her home is said to be the summit of Mount Everest, known in Tibet as Miyolangsama or Chomolungma, or Goddess Mother of Mountains. And she is the resident goddess of Mount Everest and the Khumbu area in general. She guards the south or the southern direction. She is also sacred to Tseringma in Bhutan, and I tried to find exactly what this is or where it actually is, and I'm sure this is a temple, but I cannot find it or get a lot of clarification. If you know, please comment down below. Miyolangsangma is the all-powerful earth goddess of wealth and abundance. She is the sister who governs all aspects of prosperity, luck, asset wealth, and property. There are a few descriptions of her, but there are definitely commonalities and overlaps, which we will talk about first. The first is that she is always riding a tiger. Second, she is always holding a bowl of food. This is to portray her gift of giving, being able to give the best of nourishment to everybody. Her body is described as being yellow or orange, depending on what text you look at. She is wearing bright, multicolored silk garments. Her hair is usually top-knotted in a lot of Tibetan Buddhist art. Some art depicts her with fantastic red or gold floral arrangements. In her left hand, she may be holding a mongoose who spits out jewels. I want a mongoose that does this. There are other things in her hand for some historical Tibetan art, but the mongoose tends to be one of her primary objects. In the 8th century, the 5 long life sisters were subjugated by Guru Rinpoche and became avowed protectors of Buddhism. The sisters used to be considered demons until they made a promise to protect Buddhism. This is a really interesting and somewhat short story. You have in the 11th century, wishing to test the resolve of the great yogi Milarepa, the 5 long life sisters created apparitions in an attempt to distract him from his meditations. Oh, those silly goddesses. Unable to do any actual harm because of the vows that they had made to Guru Rinpoche way back when, they failed to even distract the yogi. 3 days later, they returned and humbled themselves before Yogi Milarepa. Once again, they vowed to protect the Buddha Dharma and offered up their life essence in the form of mantras. When the goddesses requested teachings, Milarepa bestowed upon them the, quote, enlightenment thought, and various other Buddhist practices. Some months later, at the same location, the Tseringma Sisters returned and requested detailed instructions on the practice of karma mudra, which Milarepa consented to give, and the rest is history. For the Sherpas, they believe that the goddess Miyolangsangma provides wealth and good fortune, and this is very true for expeditions and treks to and from Mount Everest. According to Buddhist Sherpa monks, so different than Tibetan monks, Everest and its valleys are the, quote, palace and playground of Miyolangsangma. These Sherpas view climbers and themselves as only partially welcome guests, since all of them arrive without invitation. So it's very common to give prayer and thanks to the goddess Miyolangsangma before heading off to the Himalayas by foot. This is to avoid potential accidents and dangers while climbing the mountain and getting her blessing. These lands are very sacred, and unfortunately, because of tourism, we are slowly killing this beautiful landscape. Some of the themes that I kept for my painting of Miyolangsangma is her beautiful yellow orangey skin. I thought of gold, abundance, and wealth. Next, I wanted to emulate some Tibetan Buddhist art. I tried to incorporate some of the color themes throughout, such as the beautiful red sun behind her head. I also really like the image of the ancient mongoose sitting in her hand, spitting out jewels. I also love drawing and getting lost in those beautiful clouds that surround the mountains. I wanted to keep the background simple and draw more attention to the goddess. She's holding her sacred bowl of fruit, symbolizing abundance. The tiger itself, I liked one of the descriptions given was that it is a red tiger. There's different colors from different texts, but I like the vibrancy. I also wanted to stylize it in a more traditional artistic way with my own flair. One thing you will notice that is different is the style of the tiger's face. I struggled with this for a little bit because there's so many versions of the tiger in Tibetan Buddhist art. I decided to try to combine as many aspects as possible and how an actual tiger would look. I am thrilled to show you my end result for the goddess Miyolangsangma. And that is a little overview of the goddess Miyolangsangma. And I told you it was going to be a long one, so thanks for staying with me that whole time. Next time on this channel, in 2 weeks, because I like to do every other Wednesday, we are going to explore her sister. Her name, I believe, and I hope I'm saying this right, is Tseringma. If I haven't gotten the pronunciation right, I'd love to hear what it actually, the actual pronunciation, but that is going to be next episode. We will also be exploring the Tibetan Buddhist religion in more depth, specifically the school of Nyingma. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity to learn more about this area. It's very wonderful. It's beautiful. And I'm very excited. And I hope you guys are too, because this is just so cool. I could go on and on about it. If you guys want to check out more of my art, because that doesn't hurt me, go check me out on TikTok. You can also check me out on Instagram at Kaiti Draws. Also, go ahead and check out my website. I'm going to try to be putting up a store, I hope, in a couple months. It's been very busy, so I'm just hoping I'll have something up there for you guys. But you can always check me out at www.kaitidraws.com. Maybe I'll have new stuff over there. I also have an art station if that's something that interests you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It means a whole lot for all of my subscribers and everybody that likes all my content. And I'd love to hear from you guys. If there's goddesses that you want me to explore, or heroines or stories or areas, feel free to comment down below. I'm more than happy to go explore just everywhere. So let me know about it. Thanks again. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and let's learn about more Tibetan Buddhism.